Hello everyone, this is POW Weather. In this video, we're going to be talking about an Arctic blast that's going to bring much colder temperatures in the United States and snow over the next 7 to 10 days. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get all my daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's get right to it. Here, I really zoomed out this morning. This is April the 11th to really give you the big picture. We've been dealing with that severe weather for a good chunk of the week, and now that is shifting all the way off to the East Coast, and it's reached Florida now. Or unfortunately, now they have an enhanced risk into central Florida, going into South Florida, where they're going to be dealing with those stronger thunderstorms and that very high wind later on today. I mean, you can look at all the lightning strikes that's happening in that region. So look out for strong to severe weather for much of Florida today, and this will run the gamut up the East Coast, but this will finally shift off to the east as we go later into the evening. But look at the north. I mean, we've got 11 degrees below zero. So that is some much colder temperatures. We've actually seen record cold temperatures in Alaska. And that is the culprit of that colder air will start to funnel down into the U.S. and hit the central U.S. and eventually in a step down process get a little colder and colder as time goes on throughout the week. So let me walk you through the latest 500 millibar pattern as of today. Now it warms up today. I mean, we're good. We're well above average for a good chunk of the country. It's all the colder air is bottled up in Canada, bottled up in Alaska. But that's going to be over time going to be changing in a big way. You can see by day 6, that ridge will start blocking Alaska. They're going to be starting to see those. They're going to be warming up in a big way up in Alaska, and that's going to release the colder air to start funneling down into the U.S. and especially into the central U.S. with that cold trough setting the stage and eventually getting further and further south as time goes on. And as we get into day 9, by the time we get into April the 21st time frame, that colder air will funnel all the way down into the deep Texas, all the way down in the southeast, and be predominantly bottled into the central U.S. and eventually shifting off into the east, where we've got that ridge really building out west, where they're going to be having those above average temperatures for a good chunk out west. So let me take you through the next 7 to 10 days. Here is the culprit of all this. This is the Mann-Julie oscillation you can see right now, April the 10th through April the 24th over the next 2 weeks. It's going to be going in from phase 6, going slowly into phase 7, and it remains in phase 7 pretty much over the next 2 weeks. And this is what phase 7 looks like. And this time of year, out west, we've got that ridge building, so it warms up big time out west. The colder air will be locked up into the central U.S. with those colder anomalies, and that'll eventually funnel all the way down into Texas, and it'll slowly shift throughout the week as we get deeper into April, eventually into the Ohio Valley, and eventually start hitting into portions of the Northeast. So here's the temperatures over the next 6 days, 5 to 6 days between now and the 17th. And there's those colder temperatures. Well, that'll be locked in place of those 15 to 20 degrees below average temperatures will be hitting a good chunk of the Dakotas, where they've actually seen record high temperatures this week. And you'll be hitting with those 20 degree below average temperatures coming up this week. That's going to be a welcome that's going to be a big change to the body, where they were experiencing highs in the 80s. And now those 20 degrees of below average temperatures will be a definite change, start hitting into the central U.S. But you can see out west, there's those warmer temperatures into Washington and into Oregon and parts of California, and especially the southeast. You're going to be starting to warm up. So a lot of the colder air will be locked into the central U.S. and eventually start creeping into portions of the southeast, where along the coast here, you'll remain above average, and also in the good chunk of the Northeast for the next 6 days above average as well. Here's your precipitation outlook for the next 6 days. You can see in Texas, man, they need rain in Texas, and you're going to get it. And it's going to be not severe weather. We're talking April showers, type rain, getting into West Texas, Central Texas, and especially as start getting along the coast into Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama, and even into Florida again, where they deal with all that severe weather. That'll be bringing even more rain over the next 6 days there. But that'll swing up with those systems. Getting into Virginia, Pennsylvania, to New York with above average precipitation. And look, as it swings around here in the Dakotas, I mean, not only are they going to be dealing with colder temperatures, but much needed rain in there. And a lot of this is going to be snow as well as those, it'll be cold enough to snow out there. And here's your snow for the next 6 days. Those systems will come across for the good chunk of the central U.S. We're talking more snow in Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, portions of Colorado. It could start snowing again in Denver as we get later on into the end of the week. And then in Canada, where that source of that cold air, and Winnipeg, I mean, double-digit snows is not out of the question. And even into North Dakota, where it's going to be cold enough to snow, they could be picking up more snow for you guys into Montana, North Dakota, as well as Minnesota. Here's the next 5 days after that. This would be day 6 through 11. As far as temperatures, you can see out west, they just warm up a little bit more. Those above average temperatures creep a little bit further inland with those 10 to 15 degrees above average temperatures. There's your cold source, a good chunk of the central U.S. Underneath that purple, there's your snow, there's your colder anomalies, and that will eventually funnel in all the way down in the central U.S., getting into Oklahoma and Kansas and a good chunk of Texas. Pretty much all of Texas is going to be below average temperatures for days 6 through 11, with those rains going to be in place. And where even along the coast, I mean, this is some chillier air on the way for days 6 through 11 for the southeast. And as we get into the precipitation outlook, here's where you're going to be your below and above average precipitation, where that colder air is going to be in place. There's going to be a trough that's going to be setting up along the deep south and create what they call the overrunning conditions, with these fronts pushing through, and then over on the back side of it create that rain that'll be elevated and kind of daily rain showers, and some of those heavier rain showers, and some of it could be flooding rains, as they just get above average rainfall for an extended period of time into Louisiana, into Mississippi and Alabama, along the coast here in the Florida Panhandle, getting into central Florida. And this will swing up the coast as well. So getting into Pennsylvania, New York again, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, portions of Massachusetts and Connecticut is going to see above average rainfall in that time frame. There's your snowfall over the next 10 days. That snow will push a little bit further south as the cold air pushes further south. Could be hitting portions of New Mexico by then, portions of Nebraska, and some heavier snows again in the Dakotas, getting into Canada and Minnesota. And up here in the Northeast, where it finally gets cold enough, it's not out of the question, and the higher elevation, ski country, way up in Maine, that it could possibly snow again as we get, into those 19th, 20th, 21st time frame. Here's your temperatures beyond that. This would be temperatures between the day 9 and through 14. So later on in the period, it just warms up even further out west. So you remain high and dry for a good chunk of the west. Those above average temperatures will start creeping a little bit further east as time goes on. Your colder temperatures remain in place over Texas, over Oklahoma and Kansas, your Missouri, Ohio Valley, good chunk of the southeast. We'll see those above average anomalies, and it'll finally start getting into portions of the northeast as we extend later in the period. here's your precipitation over the encompasses over the next 2 weeks, and there's your above average rainfall. So below average temperatures and above average rainfall for a good chunk of Texas, portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, where they're going to have those overrunning conditions. But just to the north, I mean, you remain high and dry. So that's a sharp boundary there. But much of Florida will be above average rainfall. And again, this will swing up, and a good chunk of the Northeast will see above average rainfall predominantly over the next 2 weeks. But it's pretty much high and dry out west, where they're going to be begging for rain out there, and they're just not going to be getting much of anything. And here's what the precipitation would actually look like. I mean, it's barely even a drop here in California, as those higher temperatures and those drier temperature, precipitation locks in place out here. And here's where all the rain is going to be into Texas and portions of the deep south. So yeah, some of these rains could be picking up 6, 8, 10 inches is not out of the question. And again, it'll swing around. This is what the average rainfall look like. So these rains in the Dakotas are going to be welcome needed. But a lot of this is going to be snow, because it's going to be cold enough to snow as well. And here's your snow for those over the next 2 weeks, encompassing the next 2 weeks. That's where the snow is predominantly going to be flying, where this colder temperatures are going to be laying. Much of Canada, much of the Dakotas, and then even upper portions of the Northeast and ski country up here in Maine. So hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.